Today, we've got our first proper look at Google's upcoming Pixel 10a, including all of the specs and even the official launch window. So first up, before we jump into the design, let's talk about the launch date. There were a lot of rumors that Google would release the Pixel 10a this year, but that was never really realistic considering the Pixel 10 only launched in August. But finally, we've got confirmation that the Pixel 10a is going to be arriving in early 2026, with insiders pointing towards a March launch window. Now when it comes to power, the Pixel 10a won't be using the brand new Tensor G5. Instead, it's going to be running on a boosted version of the Tensor G4, clocked higher and tuned for better efficiency to handle all of Google's on-device AI tasks. It's paired with 8GB of RAM and a choice of 128 or 256GB storage, and this is exactly what most users are going to be wanting within this price range. And of course, it inherits all of Google's latest AI features, including Magic Q and Camera Coach, making it an even smarter upgrade over the Pixel 9 series. Now for the display, we also get a little bit of a refresh, and we're looking at a 6.2-inch OLED panel running at 120Hz, and of course we're going to get improved color accuracy and brightness, peaking at around 2200 nits. Now before anyone points it out, yes, the Pixel 9a was actually listed at 2700 nits of peak brightness, but multiple independent tests proved that that wasn't true, and the real figure was just over 2000 nits, so this is a genuine improvement. Now battery life also sees a small bump. The Pixel 10a is reported to pack a 5200 mAh cell, which isn't a huge jump, but it's still a nice upgrade. And considering the Pixel 9a already had solid battery endurance, this should easily carry you through a full day of heavy use. Now we've got colors, and this is where it gets fun. Leaks suggest we're going to see 5 options this time around, so we're going to have black, blue, dark blue, red, and green. And the renders you're seeing here are based on those leaks, but remember, we don't have the exact shades at the moment, so these shades are simply just estimates for illustration. As for the design, we can thank OnLeaks and Android Headlines for giving us our first look, and if you've followed phone leaks for a while, you know OnLeaks is almost always spot on. Now he's provided detailed CAD-based imagery, and using that info I've created these 3D renders, including the ones in hand, and as I said, the only thing I've had to guess here is the color hues. But as you can see, Google's sticking with the familiar Pixel A series design, which shouldn't really surprise anyone, but the phone itself is slightly shorter and narrower than before, just enough to make it feel a little bit more compact, and it's also 0.1mm thicker, likely due to this larger battery capacity, though realistically you're never going to notice it in the hand unless you were to compare it side by side with the predecessor. Now up front is still an edge-to-edge display with a punch-hole camera top center, while on the back we get a nearly flush camera bar. The hardware remains the same dual camera system as its predecessor, but Google's software improvements should bring noticeable gains in sharpness, color, and overall image processing. Now for those of you excited for the Pixel 10a, we're going to run through the full specs, design, and expected pricing to help you guys decide if it is worth the wait. So with the Pixel 10a, we get a 6.2-inch flat OLED display protected by Gorilla Glass 4. It's a 120Hz Full HD Plus OLED, and we get a peak brightness of 2200 nits. We've got a punch-hole camera top center, which houses a 13-megapixel 1/3.1-inch sensor that's got an aperture of f2.2. And then over on the rear, it's a 48-megapixel primary camera with a 1/2-inch sensor and an aperture of f1.7, and that's paired with a 13-megapixel ultrawide with a 1/3.1-inch sensor and an aperture of f2.2. The phone is going to be equipped with Google's Tensor G4 chipset, but it is going to be a boosted version with higher clock speeds and more efficiency to bring improvements to performance, efficiency, and AI capabilities. And it's coming with 8GB of RAM and a choice of 128 or 256GB storage. Now we're expecting a 5200 mAh battery with some slight improvements to fast charging, and we're also getting support for wireless charging as well as 5G, Bluetooth 5.4, and Wi-Fi 6E. Now the phone is going to be shipping with Android 16 out of the box, and launch is going to be held on March 2026, and thankfully the price is expected to remain the same as its predecessor, and that means it's going to start from $499 or £499, which is a great price for such a capable phone. So overall, the Pixel 10a is sticking to its main priorities, offering a good Pixel phone for everyday use that's also got a capable camera, and offering plenty of AI features in a much more affordable package. Now, being at the A range, we were never expecting too much to change, and Google have stuck to the usual plan, so realistically, it's not going to be worth upgrading from the previous Pixel 9a. But if you're currently on the fence and you can wait a bit, then it's definitely going to be worth holding off for the 10a instead of buying the 9a today. Now, of course, launch is still a fair few months away. We're going to get more and more details as we approach it, and of course, I'm going to be sharing those as soon as they come in, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing in the future.